So what I have here is a sheet that I made, and it is a variety of, well, it's 2020, right? This was the focus of the sheet, as we are the new year, okay? And what I did was I just put the name of the typeface, so you might be familiar when you select the different types of fonts or typeface. Arial's a pretty common one. And 18 points is the size. So typeface and fonts are measured in points. So you can see that some of these, they're actually shorter, even though their point size is larger. That is because some typefaces don't adhere to the standard height measurements. So even though most of them are in 18 points, you'll notice some of these numbers are taller than others. All right. So just a few of the typefaces I used here. Edwardian script is one I like to use. It looks a lot like copperplate, which is a very famous old script. And it's a little bit fancier. So when you look at the numbers there, you can see that they are a little bit more decorative. They have a curly top and a stylized bottom. They also have a variety of widths. So parts of it are thick and parts of it are thin, whereas the Arial, it's solid all the way around. Calavaras, one of my guilty pleasure fonts. You can't use it for much. It has tiny skulls on each little letter and number. Agency always reminds me of like, yeah, or like it kind of reminds me of just like old computers from the 80s because the things aren't round or elegant. Arial black is something I use if I need students to be able to read it easily. Although the A is not easy for elementary years because they're used to the A that doesn't have the ascender on it, that top part. Automobile font, one of my faves. It's just a thick script that's really upright. Waltograph is by looking at the Walt Disney name and their logo, and it is, a similar typeface. So when you go down, Comic Sans is one that you'll see a lot of educational stuff written in, just because it's an easy one for students to read, especially with like the A, like that. Green fuzz is a fun one. If you look at it up close, they're actually kind of wiggly. Although it won't focus up close. So this one, it's like drawn around the outside, so the black ink is what you see. There's no actual letter there. Ringmaster is like a really decorative font.
Oh, like a circus.
Yeah. Horseshoes and Lemonade, fun one. Joker Man, fun one. Kind of looks like the old typeface Curls. So you can see that there are things that are really kind of simple, and then there's like more ornate ones, decorative ones. So what I did was I put together just this really quick how-to thing, and these aren't the best illustrations, but it's what I could come up with over lunch, so it's what we're using. Block and bubbles. So block letters, they use the outside of a block shape usually in order to make them, and I'll show you the difference between the two. But what you're going to do is you're going to be designing 2020. It says, with a pencil, lightly print the year in digits. So if I follow along with this lesson, it just says, with a pencil, lightly print 2020. Okay? It says, leave room in between the letters for them to grow into boxes or bubbles later. The only thing is, if I was going to do boxes, I would actually start and be like, okay, how many boxes do I need? 4? All right. So this is how I divide my boxes. You can measure them, or I usually do like half and half and half and half and half. Right? Because you can eyeball it that way, where the middle of something is. So if I was doing that, I would then do like this. Right? 20, 20. So that I know they're evenly spaced out. So this is how I would start my block. And this is how I would start my bubble. Okay? Then it says, with a pencil, bubble or box around the numbers in a consistent width to the end. Don't forget to outline the insides of some numbers too. Sorry, it says letters. Okay? So you're thinking about going all the way around that shape, all the way around it until you meet up with where you started. I think of it like driving a car. When I'm explaining it to little kids, I always say, you start and you drive the car so that it's always the same distance away from the wall. You don't want to hit the wall. You're driving the car, driving the car, driving the car, all the way around the wall, always being the same distance away until you get to the end. Okay? So that's what you would do to get your numbers on here. You make sure to do your insides as well. Now, this could vary. Maybe your numbers look different. That's why I gave you, that's why I made this sheet, right? So you could do numbers that had more of a slant, that were wider, less of a slant, were more blocky. Okay, that's what that's for. If it is a block, then you are using as much of the outside of the block as possible. Right? So then the rest of my number, and I'll do this in pencil crayon so you can see, the rest of the number is made by the box itself. Okay, that's how I know it stays square. So you can go like this for a 0, very easy. Draw your middle. Okay, that's not very even. Well, that's why we draw light until we get it right. So then it says, super simple, there's our last one. Here's ours right now. Erase pencil, inside box or bubble. Okay. And of course I don't have one handy. Pretend I'm erasing. All right. Then it says, with practice, you can be more creative when you box or bubble around letters by exaggerating corners and angles, right? And then it's got like a crazy zeros. So you can change it to however you want to have it. The only issue, the only thing that I have to give you an instruction about today is that we want it to take up as much of the room on our paper as possible. So right now I can fit these both on my sketchbook, but if I were drawing it onto the big paper, which is your assignment today, so when your paper is this size, you're going to do your numbers. Make sure that you leave a gap between them, otherwise you will not have enough room and they will overlap. So we'll do my 2's at the same time so that I get them even and the same. They look kind of like Z's. That's fine. Okay, maybe my O's of my 2020 are behind my 2's. Yeah, O's. You can say O. Yeah. Okay. So yeah, you can totally make them however you want to make them. They should just, my only requirement is that it takes up most of the page, okay, and it's in pencil for now. And then I'll give you your next step after.